I've always had a passion for learning. Okay, in high school, I didn't care anything about learning. But what I want to share in this video is what I've learned over the past year about how to actually get good at things that you want to get good at. But I've recently dealt with something that I think all creative people or all people in general deal with, and that is balancing theory with application. And for me, I get caught up in the education thing, and sometimes I don't know when to shut the tap off. And that's because as a creative person, I've dealt with a lot of paralysis through analysis. And I've been reading books to help improve certain aspects of my life, certain subjects that I want to learn more about, certain beliefs that I want to change, and things that I want to discover about the world. I've realized that taking notes is not enough. And you might say, well, duh, Tyler, like that's obvious, but I don't know if it's because it's just me. And I think sometimes as individuals, we know the right thing to do or what we should be doing, but we come up with reasons and excuses why not to do that thing. Theory alone is not enough for you to be able to learn most things. You actually have to go out and take action. Like as a photographer, you can't just read on like all these things. You can't just play around with camera settings. There comes a point in time where you have to actually go out and take photos. And if you're not you're going to get the most amount of feedback and you're going to get the best practice when you're actually going out and doing the thing. So now what I'm doing whenever I'm reading books, each time that I finish a chapter, I write down one thing that I'm going to take action on that I've learned from that specific chapter. And I apply that to all aspects. That could be in a self-help book. That could be something that you've read in fiction that just kind of a thought that popped into your head. I'm not saying that you have to do these things if you're reading fiction for just entertainment purposes. By all means, do that. But if you're trying to improve in certain aspects and certain skills in your life, it's important to take action on those things. And it's also important to make sure that you take a break. And especially if you have a busy life and you're a creative person, you're always looking for those pockets of time to be able to do your creative thing. But the problem with that is if you're always doing stuff, you don't have any time to decompress. I remember when I was 8 years old and I was learning to play guitar, I was really happy because I could hold down all the strings and I could get the sound to go through. I could strum it and I could play all the chords. But the problem was I couldn't switch chords. I couldn't go from a G chord to a D chord and so on and so forth. And that was really frustrating for me. And so what I did out of frustration is I took a year off and I didn't pick up a guitar. I didn't do anything. My dad didn't force me to have to play it or anything like that. And then my dad buys his guitar when we're on vacation. And I sat up in the room. I was just trying to see if I still knew how to play the chords that he had taught me. And to my surprise, I actually could play all the chords. But then I tried to switch. I went from playing a G chord to a C chord, and all of a sudden I could do it. And so I can't really explain. I don't know the science behind that, but I know that you need to take breaks in between. And for me, being a bit of a workaholic, there's been a lot of times where I don't like to take a lot of breaks. And I think taking a break doesn't just mean like taking a pause for a little bit. It means like actually stopping what you're doing and doing something completely different. Giving yourself some time to digest what you just learned, what you were just practicing. And you also need time to rest when you're reading as well. So when you're getting the theory portion, you're gonna need to take breaks as well, just like whenever you're actually going out and doing the application. Because if not, you're just gonna be cramming information, you're gonna be passively reading the information, and you're not gonna comprehend everything. So breaks are important, but you need to balance theory and application. You definitely need to be practicing the thing instead of just learning it, because if you don't take action, you're never gonna get good at the thing. You have to work out your own individual quirks. I've always thought that books were kind of a shortcut to get feedback in ways that you don't have to make the same mistakes as the author made, because you're gonna learn from those mistakes through reading. But you also shouldn't be afraid of making mistakes whenever you're actually going out and doing the thing. And I think that goes back to having a bit of a growth mindset and not being so critical of yourself whenever you make mistakes, because you can look at mistakes as a learning experience rather than an actual failure. And that's just been super helpful for me, because I know that if I'm making mistakes, then I'm growing and I'm getting better and I'm improving. Instead of thinking if I fail, then I just suck. So as a creative person that's trying to develop new skills, theory alone is not enough. You need the theory, you need application, and you need rest and repeat. If you do that, I think that is the perfect recipe for you to be able to do anything that you want. And you can do anything that you set your mind to and anything that you believe. So as long as you believe that you can do it, it is something I truly believe that you can do. All right, my rant's over. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully you found this valuable, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.